So when I first heard about the A7C, I thought, why? So let me backtrack a little bit. Here's why I thought this camera was gonna be super weird. Generally, full frame cameras tend to use bigger lenses to cover the full sensor size. So I thought pairing a big Sony G Master zoom with this little body doesn't make a lot of sense. But since the A7C's release, we've seen a lot of smaller form factor zoom lenses and primes that are gonna make a big difference. So let's talk about one of the most important things about cameras, and that's image quality. How does the A7C image quality stack up compared to other cameras? Some people call it a parts bin camera, and I guess I would as well, because the sensor is from a Sony A7 III, and they took a Sony A6500 body and beefed it up a little bit to fit that full frame sensor in it. And the results are actually pretty magical. Pictures out of this camera are amazing. I don't think anybody would complain about the image quality that you get. They're super sharp, the colors are great. Sony RAW is amazing to work with, lets you adjust pretty much everything. So what's the video quality like on this camera? Well, it's pretty good. Right now, I'm shooting on my Blackmagic Pocket 4K, which is one of my most favorite cameras I've ever used. But let's switch over to the Sony A7C, and you can kind of see what this 4K image looks like compared to the Blackmagic. Pretty crispy if you ask me. They take a 6K resolution sensor, and then they downsample it to a 4K image, so the image is extra sharp. One of the biggest problems with it, I think, is that it's only 8-bit, so I would probably stay away from S-Log. The dynamic range is pretty good, but unless you're shooting in S-Log, you can't really take full advantage of the sensor, so there are trade-offs. Autofocus on this camera is also another great thing, which makes it perfect for people who are maybe one-man band kind of shooters for weddings or corporate things, or YouTubers, vloggers, anybody who films themselves, because you could pretty much just set it to continuous autofocus. It'll track your face and you don't have to worry about whether or not you're in focus. And the added benefit of having a flip out screen just makes it that much easier to frame your shot and film yourself. The ergonomics of the camera are a little weird. It really depends on what kind of lens you pair with it. I would stay away from those big zoom lenses like the G Masters, because the camera's gonna feel real front heavy, and that grip is so small, your hand is gonna start cramping, and it's gonna be a little tricky to hold. I would actually highly recommend putting a small little prime on it, like what I have here, or one of the small little zoom lenses that Sony makes. It's a really baggable camera if you have the right lens on it. So something that's small makes the camera a lot more compact. You can throw it in a bag, take it with you. I keep this with me in my backpack all the time, which makes it great. So because it's such a small body, the button layout and kind of the overall holding of it is not the best. I kind of wish this menu button wasn't in such a weird place. I kind of wish they had an extra little dial here where your index finger sits for like aperture control or shutter. Trying to get everything on such a small body is gonna be impossible, and I think Sony did a relatively good job with making this feel comfortable in the hand. Daily use with this camera is actually super fun because you can carry it around in your bag. You always have it with you. It's always super easy to just pull it out, get a photo, get a video clip that looks good, which just makes using it that much more fun. I took this with me on a bike ride one day, and it was amazing because I had a Peak Design strap. I threw it over my back. I rode my bike around. Whenever I would see something cool, I would pull it out, take a photo. And the battery life of this camera is pretty great because they put in the new Sony Z batteries. It gives you a lot of battery for shooting. I took this out several times shooting for a few hours at a time, and the battery never dropped below 50%. I'm pretty confident you can make it through a full day of shooting with 3 of these batteries. I really believe that this camera is for professionals who are maybe looking for a backup camera option, maybe a good B cam, C cam, whether you shoot one-man corporate videos or weddings. It's also great for YouTubers, vloggers, you know, content creators, anybody who needs to have a camera with them at all times. Having the autofocus is great for whenever you need to film yourself. Having the flip out screen is awesome for when you need to get different angles. The fact that it shoots photos and videos is super helpful. The third group of people that I think that this would be great for is the photo enthusiast who loves to travel and wants to take a small, compact, full frame camera with them. I think that this would be perfect for that. You throw it into your bag, you pair a couple lenses with it, maybe get a small little zoom lens, and that's pretty much all you need. And that is something special about this little tiny camera. This is one of those cameras that's like special in a weird way, where you don't think it's gonna be as awesome as it is until you experience what it's like to have this in your bag. Then when you get the footage and the photos back to your computer, you see the quality that the sensor puts out. If you have the money, buy it, get a couple awesome prime lenses to pair with it, and you won't be disappointed.